Hello, it's Burgess Taylor, sometimes known as Journey with Burgess. If you are new to my channel, thank you for visiting or thank you for watching. Thank you for being a new subscriber. If you've been here for a while, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about Project Self, which is something I am doing on Patreon and on the newsletter, and I thought I'd share a bit of it on YouTube. I'm going to be doing monthly updates with the newsletter, which is about to go out this week. I am so sorry it is late, but it has been a bit crazy. I'm going to be doing weekly updates on Patreon and quarterly updates on YouTube. This is the second quarter. April starts the second quarter of the year. And the first quarter, we're gathering our bearings. We're trying to accomplish those goals. We're taking our actionable steps. We're getting started on things for the new year. But we find that some things work and some things don't. Well, during the month of March, I concentrated on self-care, seriously concentrated on self-care in Patreon. Talked about it a bit on YouTube. One of the things I realized is that self-care is more than just scheduling a self-care day, scheduling a mani-pedi or spa day or an artist date or drinking enough water and getting enough sleep and things like that. Self-care is also about a number of other things. And that's what Project Self is really about. Project Self is about 52 weeks of change, growth, improvement, discovery, and creative exploration in order to be a happier, healthier, more successful, more authentic, and better me. I found a few quotes that were pertinent, I thought, to this project. Yesterday, I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today, I am wise, so I am changing myself. That was by Rumi. And wow. As I thought about what Project Self would endeavor, I did a bit of brainstorming, I did a bit of journaling, and I thought, it's so much deeper, so much more. It's about habits. It's about our truths. It's about our creativity. It's about self-care. It's about our life and our successes, as well as learning from our failures. It's about becoming the best person that we can. It's about changing our routine, improving that routine, if you will. It's about creating, it's about personal development. May Sarton, who is a poet, said, "We have to dare to be ourselves, however frightening or strange that self may prove to be." So we have to be, in order to be a better us, we have to, one, be our authentic selves. Two, we have to learn, grow, change. And in order to do that, sometimes we have to get out of our comfort zones. Well, I've been working on that this whole year already. The end of last year, I started. After my dad's death, my mom's hospitalization, almost losing the both of them within a few hours, I thought, okay, what can I do? Well, I've started making positive changes towards, one, having better routine, two, having better days, more successful, more productive days, and things like that. But I've also started working on myself in general. My mind, my body, my spirit, and all different kinds of areas. It's about more than one thing. So in order to think about some of those things, mind, body, spirit, environment, my goals, and other things, I had to ask myself some of the hard questions. Questions like, how do I feel about me? How do I feel about others? How do I feel about life? How do I think my life is going? Am I on the right path? Because life is a journey. Life is not a destination. And for a while there, I think I was stuck in the destination part. How do I feel about my work? How do I feel about my creativity? Am I doing positive things like meditation and walking, exercise? Am I improving my mind? How do I feel about my body, my self-image? How am I doing with my health and wellness, my lifestyle and my routine? Some of my goals. Am I reviewing my goals? Am I actually reviewing things? Because I've been on this planner peace thing, and I realized part of the problem I was having with my planning system is that I didn't have a system. Once I started changing the system, and I'm actively working on that, I realized I wasn't reviewing daily as much as I really needed to, not in a productive way. I was just glancing at things and seeing what my to-do list said. And life is more than our to-do list. Life is more than our calendar. Life is more than what we got done or what we didn't check off. So I had to think about then, like what I've already done. I had to think about right now, what I've got going on. I had to think about tomorrow. But I can't be stuck in tomorrow any more than I need to be stuck in yesterday. So I had to think about okay, well, I need to do daily reviews. I definitely need to do weekly reviews, monthly reviews, and quarterly reviews, as well as yearly. I mean, if you have listened to any of the videos from any number of people about how to goal set, a lot of people suggest that you forward plan, that you make goals for certain periods of time, a month in advance, 6 months in advance, a year in advance, 3 years in advance, 5 years in advance. When I went through the Law of Attraction Planner, I really learned a lot about goal setting. My environment was one of those things that I was thinking, well, God, I for a while was really doing well with DIY projects in the home and outside of the home in the yard. And we kind of let a few of those fall behind and just kind of they went, you know, on the shelf in the closet, sort of. And we forgot about some of our goals with the house and what we were doing because we got so caught up in the right now and so proud of ourselves for what we'd already done. We sort of forgot about some of the things we still had on our to-do list. So after a great deal of thought about how much time and energy and money I've spent on planners and I've spent on journals, and I started scaling back some. And that's when I decided that well, like I said, I needed to work on my planning system. So I took Ali Brown's Plan Your Peace course, and that has been phenomenal in changing how I look at a few things. I have a timer. It's a little green frog timer. It's on that desk over there. Actually, it's on my craft table right now because I was doing some 15-minute art stuff, 15-minute creativity projects. I also learned a great deal about a few other things that I hadn't even really thought about in regard to planning. But I wasn't done there. I am now enrolled in Enthusiastically Dawn's Planner Bootcamp, which started today. I'm excited about that. I've learned so much about creativity and different things from other people. But one of the drawbacks from being on social media so much is that we tend to compare ourselves to others. And that was one of my issues. So with Project Self, I have endeavored to do more of my own thing. And in order to do that, I realized, well, one, my planning system wasn't really working for me. I had set it up because of various things that I liked or loved, but didn't really work for me, even though they worked for a lot of other people. The Hobonichi Cousin as a planner is beautiful. It works fantastic for some things. But the drawback to it for me was that I had gotten so used to journaling in the Hobonichi that no matter what I did, I still wanted to journal on the pages. And when I planned, it just was a bunch of to-do lists. And I tried time tracking. I tried all these different things. And finally, it hit me when I was in Allie's course. I had to do what works for me. And since 2015, I have dabbled back and forth with an Omni journal, what some people are now calling a creative bullet journal. For a long time, I combined everything. I had my planning, bullet journaling, commonplace journaling, my art journaling, and everything for the most part except Dear Diary journaling in my Omni journal. And that wasn't working because one, I was going through them so fast because I put everything in it. Two, the planning portion into that with everything else was sort of throwing me for a loop because I wasn't seeing my planning nearly enough, my list, my to-do list, my calendar, because I had all these journal pages after it. And that wasn't working either. So I realized this year, this last month, I realized that what I needed was an Omni journal, but a little bit different than what I had done before. Lists and calendars are always what have worked for me. I need a calendar and I need a to-do list. Well, before I didn't really need to worry about future planning and worry about my time. My time was already pre-scheduled because I worked outside of the home. I had set hours, and sometimes there were appointments, but the calendar worked for that. I could write down the appointment, make a little note over to the side on a stick-it note on my to-do list, you know, with a highlighter or whatever, and I was good. But as I endeavored into working from home, I didn't have a set schedule. I could do things at my leisure. I could do things when things were convenient for me, and I multitask a lot. While I'm filming videos, sometimes my laundry is going. While I'm saving videos or uploading videos, I am washing dishes, I am cooking dinner, I am journaling, I'm filming while other videos are saving or uploading. I'm doing a lot of things as I go, multiple things. So Time tracking for me would have needed like more than one. I would have had to use 2 or 3 different sides to the time tracker, and there's only 2 sides, one on one side, one on the other side. That wasn't really working. And I also realized that I was comparing myself to others way too much. Thus, self-doubt and feeling like an imposter. And Patreon has been the thing that has really helped me, along with a lot of you who have commented. I have raised a lot of these issues in coffee chats. I've raised a lot of these issues in what I call Tuesday Talks on Patreon, which is their version of the coffee chat. And I've realized that my niche it's my niche. And I have gone back and forth trying to do different things because this worked or that worked for somebody else. And eventually it hit me. And it's done that on and off. But when my dad died and my mom was in the hospital, I took a break, a short break from YouTube and from Patreon. And when I came back, that's when I got a journal from Bree from Documented Journey, and things started changing. I was still using the Hobonichi. I was still doing the planning in the Hobonichi. I tried the weeks. I tried all different kinds of things. But when I got this journal to test out for Bree, I finished this journal. It had been a while, a long while since I'd actually finished from start to finish. And I kid you not, from start to finish, a journal and all of the pages in between. Oh, that makes such a difference. And I'm in love with her journals. As a matter of fact, I'm talking to Bree right now about another journal because the journal I'm using currently only has like, I don't know, maybe a month left in it, which means that I will finish it maybe the first or second week of May. And I don't like to start a journal mid-month, although I started this one mid-month. I started the one I'm working on now mid-month. So maybe I need to start them mid-month. And that's what I thought. Okay, well, what is this idea that you have in your head that you have to start it on a new date, on a brand new, the first day of the month? Why? So the very last page in this journal would be November. This one would be November 17th. So the new journal start right with that, right? I think that same day or the next day. So that was one of the ideas I had set in my head. I had to do something a certain way. Why? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. What I'm trying to do with Project Self is to get my life in all the different facets of it, from my personal life to my creative life, and to get things more organized, to continue to grow organically as a person, as a creator, as a creative, as a planning person. And I thought having a project like this would actually help, and it may help other people. What do I love? What do I enjoy? What brings me joy? And one of the things I had to also think about is, if I'm thinking about what brings me joy, I also need to be thinking about what brings other people joy. How can I not only seek joy and kindness, but spread joy and kindness? Thank you, Arwen. Thank you, Arwen. So I've sort of thought maybe Project Self could be something that would help other people. If you are part of the newsletter, you will have an introduction to this. There are some videos that are going to be in the newsletter. I am editing the very last one, so hopefully by Thursday at the latest, the newsletter will be out. And I apologize for it being late. But this has been something that's very special to me, and I wanted it to be near perfect. It won't be perfect. Nothing is perfect. But I needed it to be as close to perfect as I could get it. And I had to be okay with some of the imperfections, as long as it got my message across in a good way, as long as it was a quality, as long as it was quality. I'm not worried about it being perfect. I just needed it to be pretty close to what my real message is. And that is that sometimes we have to take some time to work on ourselves. If we don't take the time to work on ourselves, if we don't take time to participate in life, not just watch it, if we don't take time to take care of ourselves, to make time for self-care. If we don't make the time for self-care, we can make all the excuses we want to. We don't have time. If you're busy, if you work, if you are a caregiver, you are especially sometimes limited with your time. But you know what? You can't take care of anybody else if you don't first take care of you. My dad gave me the best bit of advice you could ever give somebody who just become a single parent, just gotten divorced, just become a single parent. And my dad said, you can't be a good mom if you can't be a good you. You have to take care of you. You have to take care of you as a person first and foremost, or you're not going to have anything left to give to your kids. You have to be able to make sure that you are okay. You need to make sure that you get enough sleep. You need to make sure that you stay safe. You need to make sure that you can have fun and be happy, and the kids will see all that and they will be better for it. And I didn't always listen to that advice. As a single parent, I didn't always listen to that advice. I made a lot of mistakes as a parent. Tried to be both parents. I made a lot of mistakes. And as someone who also suffers from depression and anxiety and ADHD, it wasn't easy. You get overwhelmed and stressed out with regular life, with work, with real life stuff. It's sometimes hard not to get impatient. It's sometimes hard not to want to go in the bathroom and scream, or to go outside and scream because you're at your wit's end. And so we live and we learn. I realized that as somebody who had worked in banking and finance and things like that for a very long time with customer service, I could put that to use. But as I thought about my life, I realized that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. I am on the path that I am supposed to be on. I waited my whole life, spent my whole life thinking of creative things for my kids to do, of doing things with them, and I put my own creative life sort of on hold for a long time. And when I got back into writing, I started doing NaNoWriMo, and then I got into art, adding art to my journals, art and words. That's my jam. Adding art and words to my journals. I've been a journaler since I was 7 years old. Actually, probably a little bit before that. But I definitely know that I got that first pink diary, I want to say I was 6 or 7, and I became an avid journaler when I was 7, when my real daddy died. Reading and Dear Diary style journaling are what saved my sanity at 7 when he died. When my dad died, so now I've lost 2 fathers. When my dad died, my mom and my stepdad, I rarely call him my stepdad. He was my dad. They were married for 40 years, and he was the best thing that could have ever happened to us. We were blessed the day that he and my mom came into each other's life. As somebody who has been through a lot, I realized that where I'm at right now, my path is on the right track. I am on the right path. I am enjoying the journey, and I'm not thinking so much about the destination. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have goals, I have a destination in mind for things, but most of what I've realized is that I could change things on YouTube, I could change things on Patreon to a degree, but only to the degree that it is authentic for me, that it enhances my authenticity. I can do all different kinds of things to improve, but only if it's authentic to me. And one of the things I really want my YouTube channel to be about, my Patreon page to be about, for them to see, is that I'm sharing my creative life, the journey of my creative life, all of the processes that come with a lot of that. And on YouTube, I'm sharing a bit of that. It's just not as personal. It's not as detailed as what I share on Patreon. But I wanted this project to be for everyone. I had to figure out a way that would work to share this project with everybody. So if you are interested in following along, I have a hashtag. Okay, the hashtag is Project Self Journey. And I decided on Project Self because the self is one of the best projects we could ever work on. And each week on Patreon, I'm working on something different. I'm talking about something different, an issue that I have, or what I accomplished, the great things. I'm talking about the good, the bad, the beautiful, and the ugly, because you learn what works and what doesn't work. I've been reading The Miracle Morning and working towards having a level 10 life. I've been working back in what I am now calling my Omni journal, creative bullet journal. Y'all, I was missing this. JT King leathers, y'all. This is what it's called, this coral color, but it's a more of a red than an orange, and it's gorgeous, and these work really well together. I do want that. Thank you, Carrie Harley. I have never had a chic sparrow ever. I've always wanted to try one. I have not ever been able to afford one. But after Carrie showed her Weeks cover, and I am using the Weeks for this for my self-care, for my health and wellness, and a few little bits like that. I have changed up what I'm using the weeks for, but I wanted a week's cover. At first I was thinking about doing the version of this and this same one, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized I wanted something a little bit different. And now Chic Sparrow, thank you, Carrie Harleen. I saw her week's cover. Hers is, I think, the Calypso. It's the violet. And although y'all know I love purple, my old room is purple. That's now our guest room. Victor says it's his room. I think I want the red version of Carrie Harleen, the one that she showed, the Calypso, with the ink stain, the coffee stain, and the ink stain. I want the week's cover. And I want the insert from Chic Sparrow that goes in that too, so I could put the two of these in here. I love this coffee bean cover, y'all. But so that's on my wish list. It'll maybe my birthday in July I can get one. It's on my wish list, but I've never owned a Chic Sparrow. And when Chic Sparrow did all the interviews with Carrie and with Allie and with I can't remember her name, How to Get Your Shit Together. And her name will come to me when I am done with this video. I love them. I've been watching all of their channels. Carrie Harleen, I love you. You are absolutely adorable. And I am a new patron to Allie. I started being a patron to Allie last month. And that's one of the reasons why I think I'm cool with finally accepting the fact that I'm never going to be one of those YouTube channels that has a perfect background. I'm never going to be one of those YouTube channels that has what looks like videos that have been created by a videographer. I do all of it myself, and eventually maybe I could outsource the editing. That would be so wonderful. But what you get is what I've done. It's true to me. Sometimes it's pretty good. Sometimes it really could use some help with the editing. Sometimes it could use some help with the photography part. With the filming, I'm learning, and the more that I learn, the better I'll get. If you have watched any of my really old videos, you know I used to not be able to edit a video at all. I didn't edit videos because I didn't know how. I finally learned how to do the basics, and I've improved a little bit since then. I've gotten a little bit better editing software, getting the hang of it. It's a slow but sure process, but what you get is authentic to me. That's why I do the coffee chats. That's why I talk about problems that I have, issues that other people have asked me about, and I talk about topics sometimes that I have to research. And I usually find that when somebody asks me a question for a coffee chat, that once I start researching, it hits me, hello, you've had that same issue. You just didn't even realize it. Or you worked through that issue a couple years ago and you just haven't even thought about it since then. So I find that the coffee chats are probably one of my most watched videos other than NaNoWriMo stuff. When I do outlining with tarot, people really like those videos, although some people are adverse to the fact that I use tarot with my writing, but that's everybody has their own prerogative to like or dislike, and I'm cool with that. I'm not everybody's cup of tea or cup of coffee, and everybody's not my cup of tea or cup of coffee. But I love to watch people who inspire and motivate. I love to watch people who help other people. I love to watch people who give advice based on what they've learned about supplies. I love to watch channels that are that have how-to videos. I started watching Allie probably way before she even had 1,000 subscribers. And one of the things that I think people fell in love with about Allie is that she was authentic. She's authentic. And one of the things that I think I fell in love with in the very beginning with Courtney, who is somebody else that I'm a patron of, is that Courtney is authentic. She was doing her Hobonichi daily document your life videos, and that is how I got into documenting my life. Right now, for the project, there are a few books that I have on my list of books that I am currently either reading or want to read. The Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin. You're a Badass. I absolutely love that book. I think that book is in the living room right now. The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. Vlog Like a Boss. And the book that's on my to-buy list, wish list, is Better Than Before, which is also by Gretchen Rubin. So I'm reading self-improvement, self-discovery kind of books right now to help me in my journey, not only on YouTube and on Patreon, but as a person, as a creative. I've changed up quite a few things. I've added a gratitude log that I'm doing every day. I'm back in the Omni journal, like I said. I am using my Hobonichi weeks for self-care. I hope that you'll join me on the journey. You can subscribe. You can subscribe to the newsletter, and you'll get updated every month. And this week, I will have the newsletter come out this week that has the videos. I don't think I'm doing a blog post, but I think I am doing multiple videos. I think it's really important. If you're not interested in Project Self and you'd like me to add some other kind of thing, I can see about doing a little thing, maybe a blog post or a short video if you have any suggestions. But the bulk of this newsletter is going to be about what I'm doing in my creative life, Project Self, and what that's really about, and how it's already changed things and how I do things. As you can tell, I'm back in an Omni journal, so that's a good thing. I'm still documenting my days in my journal. Like I said, I'm already talking to Bree about the next one because like I said, I only have maybe a month left. Sometimes I do these coffee chats where they're a bit different. And this is going to be one of those kind of coffee chats where it's a bit different. Project Self is really important to me. One of the big reasons that I realized I needed to do Project Self was because the more that I worked on things, little things, self-care, the more I talked about self-care in March, and the more I've worked on things bit by bit since October when my dad died and my mom was in the hospital, and I've been making these changes in my life. It just sort of felt very natural. It felt like the right time and the right thing to be doing to become a better, happier me. I'm actually feeling really good about that. So I'm going to end this with one last quote. Jim Rohn said, "Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development." Way back, I think a couple of months ago, I started talking about giving up perfect for being authentic. In order to be my more authentic self, my best self, my better self, to be a happier, healthier, more productive me, I have to engage upon personal development. And that's what Project Self is. It's going to cover a multitude of areas. I'm going to have videos on Patreon and videos in the newsletter sometimes where I talk about stuff that I'm doing, DIY projects I'm doing in the yard, DIY projects I'm doing in the home, DIY projects I'm doing in regards to art and journaling and writing, things that I'm working on to help improve my mind, like some of the books I'm reading, some of the blog posts I'll be writing, some of the planner stuff I'm doing, some of the art and creative stuff I'm doing. Body-wise, I'm going to talk about some of my journey with getting healthier, losing some of my bad habits and replacing those bad habits with good habits, making sure that I have a morning routine and an evening routine that work for me and not just because a book or somebody else says, hey, this works. I'm not really a morning person. I don't need to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, not unless Mr. Rockstar's getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. But I do need to do better with being more consistent with my routine and finding a routine that really works for me. And the Miracle Morning's helping me do that. I just am fitting it to my needs. So right now, my goal is to be up by 8 o'clock every morning and to go to bed by midnight every night. That works for me. And if I find that I need to adjust it, then I will. Eventually, I may go to going to bed at like 11 or 11:30 and getting up at like 7 or 7:30. Whatever it is that really works for me. But I don't have to get up at a certain time unless there's an appointment or there's something going on with Mr. Rockstar or with Victor. So my schedule is pretty much up to me except for appointments that happen or whatever. I'm adjusting it and I'm working on it for what works for me. And that's the best thing to do. And that's what Project Self is really about. It's about finding alternative ways to help improve my life. It's about finding ways that are already out there that really do work and just adjusting them towards my own needs. That's all we can do. You know, it's your life. You got to do it your way. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon. Have a good one. Bye.